totally resourceful. I mean, think about this. Nick Sirianni gets 2 picks, a 27-yard punt by the Niners. George Kittle gets hurt. You're at home. And this year, in the second half, all year, Philadelphia averages 9 points in the second half, including the playoffs. 26th in the league. 26th in second half yards. There's no creativity. And I think Philadelphia, like a poorly coached team, is getting worse over time. I mean, I'm the one thing I'll say about Philly is that their run defense was great, but that's Vic Fangio. Everything I liked about the Eagles was Vic Fangio. Think about this. San Francisco's 6 highest paid players missed 60% of the snaps. How in the hell are they 13-5? How are they winning these games? And I've been critical of Brock Purdy, but you know what? Short memory, couple of bad picks, one really bad, did not matter. Great final drive, big throws, didn't have George Kittle second quarter on, didn't always have the greatest protection. There was pressure. And let's be honest about Jalen Hurts. He's pretty consistently ineffective in the pocket. Greg Cosell's been telling us for years. Tom Brady on the broadcast said it. Why are you rolling out? He's rolling out because he can't see because he's too small. And so, again, the playoffs to me are about Shanahan and Robert Saleh. I mean, Shanahan's a wizard. That opening drive, I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. What was that? And that trick play wasn't like a hook and lateral in the red zone. That's a big boy trick play. Reverses, receiver throwing deep. For 3.5 hours, you saw coaching. Whenever a coach makes like $15 million a year, people are like, whoa, coaching's overrated. Exhibit A of why it's not. That was a coaching mismatch. One coach was Chat GPT and the other was crayons. That wasn't even close.
Yeah, you know, it's really funny because Colin's talking about Tom Brady calling out Jalen Hurts, but yet he was also praising Jalen Hurts throughout the game for making unbelievable throws that were literally dropped and saying, you pay your wide receivers all this money, they got to catch the ball. He also called out Caleb Williams for doing the same thing of leaving the pocket too soon. So to just isolate that and hyper-focus that on Jalen Hurts is to not actually, to not have a balanced take here. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting because the bigger story, San Francisco coaching or Philly collapse, I actually think it's 50-50. I think it's right down the middle because Shanahan and the 49ers deserve tremendous, tremendous praise. And I'm going to be making a separate 49ers video. Hopefully I do as soon as I finish this one. But make no mistake about it, last year the 49ers were all banged up and they couldn't even make the playoffs. They couldn't even make the playoffs. This year they were all banged up and they did make the playoffs and they won. Is Shanahan magically different? Brock Pye magically different? Or I pretty missed a whole bunch of games this year as well. So it's like, what's the difference? The difference is that you can't be consistently great year after year after year after year. The Los Angeles Rams won the Super Bowl in 2021. They missed the playoffs in 22. In 23, they were first round exit in the Wildered round against the Detroit Lions. And the year after that, they lost to the Philadelphia Eagles. They beat the Minnesota Vikings where Sam Darnold turned into a pumpkin, and then they got beat by the Eagles. And now here, you know, this year we'll see what happens to them. So that's the reality, is that it is hard to consistently be great and win. Now the thing is though, and that's why teams like the Patriots and the Chiefs, etc., deserve so much credit, so much. You also forget that the Eagles went to the Super Bowl in 22, playoffs 23, won Super Bowl 24, in the playoffs 25. To think that this team can just consistently get to Super Bowls or get to the NFC Championship games year after year after year is to fundamentally do something that you just simply do not see consistently in the NFL. And when you do that, when you do see that, you see such continuity, special coaching, quarterback play, wherever we want to, isolate the special. And the biggest problem that the Eagles have consistently faced is the lack of continuity in coaching. The lack of continuity in coaching. And I already made my whole video about Jalen Hurts before. Definitely check that out. It's something, I forget what the title is, but it's something like Jalen Hurts was robbed of his moment of greatness. And Jalen Hurts was leading the Philadelphia Eagles to a come-from-behind win, just like we saw all the other quarterbacks do over the weekend. But he was robbed of that because A.J. Brown drops the ball. His O-lineman literally stops playing on the one drive where Jalen Hurts takes a sack, where he was literally about to rip off a 10, 15-plus yard run and get them within 8 yards, maybe even score a touchdown on that final drive within a minute left of that fourth quarter. But he gets tackled from behind because Johnson literally just stops this play right here. Okay, there's a minute 26 left. 3 seconds. And this was already after A.J. Brown had dropped the pass. But Jalen Hurts is about to run through that lane. And there's no one there. He will get at least to the 10-yard. He will at least pick up the first down and be inside the 10-yard line with a minute to go and 3 timeouts. But as you can see, number 74, Johnson, he just stops. He's completely flat-footed and just gives up on the play. And because of that, look, he's literally not even using his hands anymore. Like he just stops. He just thinks that the play is over. I don't know what he's doing. And because of that, Jalen Hurts now gets tackled from behind. He splits the other 2 defensive players with the blockers in that lane, and he gets tackled from behind. That moment right there is a difference between winning and losing. And so on one side, Shanahan and Brock Perry, they all deserve a tremendous amount of praise and credit, and I'm going to give them their flowers for sure. But the reality is that if the Eagles catch those balls, if the Eagles come from behind and win that game, you say, wow, Brock Purdy threw 2 interceptions, and oh my gosh, what is Shanahan doing in this and that? I mean, if Christian McCaffrey doesn't catch up, Christian McCaffrey made an unbelievable catch on that trick play. An unbelievable catch. The reality is that in this game, and Chad's brilliant, I think Chen's one of the best coaches, the players for the 49ers rose to the occasion. They made the plays. They made the catches, Brock Purdy using his legs, etc. So even when they did have a terrible punt, they did have terrible interceptions. When you get now to the Philadelphia Eagles side of the ball, they did not make the plays. Their kicker's missing an extra point, which now they would have been in field goal range just to at least tie the game. And now you're going to overtime, or, I don't know, you got 3 timeouts. Maybe you kick the field goal and then, I don't know, you stop 3 times. You know, I don't know. Depends how the game unfolds. Probably overtime. But you simply did not make the plays when they mattered most. That's the difference between winning and losing. That becomes the difference between winning and losing. And you can look at that throughout the course of all the playoffs. Did you make the plays when they mattered most? Yes or no to start the weekend off? The Rams, yes, made the plays. The Bears, yes. Did the Packers when it mattered most? No. Did the Panthers when it mattered most? No. Loss. Loss. Win-win. The Jags and the Bills. Did you make the plays when it mattered most? Or the Bills? Yes. The Jags? No. No. And so that's the thing. We can talk about coaching, and coaching is, you know, I've been, no one sings the praises of coaching more than me, quite frankly. And I was one of the only people making Go Back. I was one of the only people in the offseason last year that said, my biggest concern is the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. And that was before we had any sense of anything going into this season about how things were going to unfold. I said that's my biggest concern. That's my biggest issue. And so even though this wasn't actually even his worst game, Kevin Pulo, and that's why I did a whole deep dive in that other video, which I'm just going to try not to repeat here. But this game itself wasn't even terrible from a coaching perspective. It wasn't elevated, but it wasn't terrible. The plays were there. The plays were there. But ultimately the players did not rise to the occasion. And why Jalen Hurts, and this is where Jalen Hurts deserves mostly, although he had a moment where he would have then made up for it without, you know, the play that I just showed you, but he is just simply not using his legs enough. And every other quarterback around the NFL right now uses their legs, and Jalen Hurts, weirdly enough, is not. And again, I still see that being a disconnect with coaching and trust in the offense. And again, Colin can bring up Tom Brady about being able to see in the pocket. It doesn't make sense. Brock Purdy, Caleb Williams, like they're They're all the same height, Momes. So this idea that every other quarterback's like 67 and Jalen Hurts is 5'8", I I I I I don't know what you're talking about here, but there's just no layups, zero, on this Philadelphia Eagles offense, and allow Tom Brady to explain has got to get the players a lot of layups. Good OCs get their quarterbacks layups. You don't have to thread the needle on every single throw. You got guys that are wide open. Great. There's a big margin of error on a big portion of the passes. That's the goal of an offensive coordinator. It's to how do we create, through our scheme, either the route concepts or run concepts. How can we give our players a little bit of an advantage? Because the reality is, if you don't give them an advantage, I'd liken it to a golfer. Would you rather hit a 3 iron or 4 iron into a green, or would you rather hit a pitching wedge, right? Over time, the more pitching wedge you hit when your opponent's hitting 3 irons or 4 irons, the more of an advantage you have. And the good coordinators like Liam, and I know he's a head coach, but he calls the plays like a Kyle Shannon, like a Josh McDaniels, like a Sean Payton. These guys are hitting sand wedges in the greens, and that's what you want to do. And then ultimately, the quarterback needs to play a part of that. As you mature, you get older, you start to, give your coordinator, okay, these are the things I really love. This is what I'm really confident. You become an extension of the coaching staff. And that's when you really start firing on all cylinders. That's what yes. And that's a big part of it because Jalen Hurts then doesn't even have the continuity with the coaching to be able to even have those discussions, let alone having a coordinator that can give this team the lips. And quite frankly, it's not just about Jalen Hurts because it's Devontae, Dallas, Sequin, AJ. I really encourage you guys to go watch that other video because I go through games from the Packers and the Bears, the Rams. I go through them all, and just show you layup after layup after layup. Even little things like checkdowns that can then lead to way more productive guards. So you can keep talking about Jalen Hurts can't see, and it's just like, it's just a dumb, lazy take straight up. It's just, you say Tom Brady called you out, and it's like, Tom Brady wasn't talking negative about Jalen Hurts the entire game. He just said that he left the pocket too soon in that one play. Something a quarterback does literally all the time. And this is what's insane because, who all had turnovers? Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford had an interception, should have had 2 interceptions, was saved by Puka Nacua. If Puka Nacua, which his team admits, if Puka doesn't make that play, the Los Angeles Rams lose to the Carolina Panthers. Would you have said it was because Matthew Stafford was too reckless? Probably not. Trevor Lawrence throws multiple interceptions, and they lose to the Buffalo Bills. Justin Herbert, multiple turnovers. Brock Pye, multiple interceptions. Drake May, multiple turnovers. Caleb Williams, multiple turnovers. And then the one quarterback who actually didn't turn the ball over, who actually took care of the ball, who made beautiful throws to his receivers. Again, Tom Brady himself. Because if you're going to talk about the criticism that Tom Brady is giving, you better express the praise that Tom Brady was giving as well. Saying that Jalen Hurts is putting on a dot, an A+ throw that then gets dropped. There was 7 drops. A.J. Brown had 3 of them himself. Sequan a drop. Devontae a drop. That's 5 right there. That's star. Superstar. Just those 3 guys alone. Off the top of my head. 5 drops that I remember vividly. They just catch 2 of those, and they win. It's reminiscent when Josh Allen against the Kansas City Chiefs in 2023 makes 2 beautiful throws like 60-yard daggers. Drop. Diggs and I forget who the heck. The other guy who the other one was dropped by, but the most notably one was by Diggs. And that's crushing. It's the difference between winning and losing. When your margin of error is that small, that narrow, those things are devastating. And on the flip side, you can see that a Shanahan, what he can offer his offense and his team, that even when his quarterback is turning the ball over, they can widen the margin of error. But make no mistake about it, Shanahan, as Colin showed the other day, was like 1 or 2 and forever. Went down in the second half and down in the fourth quarter. So there's always problems. There's always limitations. No one is ever fully perfect. But it is just interesting that this is what I noted, what I saw in the comment section. It'll be pile on the Philadelphia Eagles right now. And it's like they went to the Super Bowl, they made the playoffs, they won the Super Bowl, they got to the playoffs, and now they lost. And it's like, are you expecting them to be able to just win Super Bowl after Super Bowl after Super Bowl after Super Bowl? Of course not. The Rams didn't do it. The 49ers didn't do it. Like the Bills didn't do it. The Ravens didn't do it. The Bengals didn't do it. So, like that's always the bizarre thing to me, that somehow a team like the Philadelphia Eagles, when they don't win, or Jalen Hurts when he doesn't win, will somehow get more negativity, more hate than the other teams that literally cannot win, have not even made it to a Super Bowl. Like that's the disconnect. That's the disconnect. But I'm really excited to see what Roseman has to do with this offense and coaching, because there's a lot of options here. And Jeffrey Lurie is willing to spend money so he can lure people, and people want to come to Philadelphia. Like it's really funny that you'll talk about players being, this offense is limited, or Jalen Hurts, and yet it's like Saquon wants to be in Philly, Devontae Philly, AJ Brown. I know things are taking a slight turn, but like wanted to come to Philly, wanted to stay in Philly, and I promise you he's more frustrated with coaching more than anything else. Promise you that he's more frustrated with coaching more than anything else. So the players are obsessed with Philly. The players are obsessed with Philly. Kelsey, Lane Johnson, Mulata, Mai Becton, Darius Slay, CJ Gardner-Johnson. They literally can't get snorts enough of Philadelphia. And yet, you always want to paint the picture like there's toxicity or things are bad in Philly. If that was the case, nobody would want to be there. You know who can't wait to leave? What players can't wait? They can't wait to get out of Cleveland. They can't wait to get out of Dallas. Just saying. Just saying. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Philadelphia Eagles? You think the bigger story is San Francisco coaching or Philly collapse? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment, whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights, but ultimately let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.